Okay, so the Creepy Creature Challenge was due today, and I'm going to be looking at some of these and talking about some basics. But really, this one, I'm going to start with this one because it's very exemplary in presentation and execution. And presentation because it's nice against a nice light gray background and very, very simple silhouettes, easy to make, easy to pitch for creature design of any kind. So typically all these challengers are supposed to help tailor your portfolio to be very employer friendly and just to showcase your skills and only your skills. There's no excessive dressing in the background. We always talk about this when we did the character design challenge for the fellowship, when we did the witch's hovel for the landscape sketch or the environment sketch. It was always really what we're always thinking about is simplicity and presentation. So for this, some of the most exemplary things that I really want to point out is when we're drawing a creature just basically sitting on their just sitting on a plain floor, I want to invite you guys to try using this technique, which is draw like a, all right, so why am I on smudge tool? Draw uh, forget what these are called, but draw a crosshair on the floor that is in a perspective. And out of that crosshair, raise a line that is vertical, perpendicular with the floor underneath it. Automatically, by just doing this, you've invited your mind to think in 3 dimensions. Because this, and this are all z-axes. The x-axis is more horizontal. It's perfectly horizontal and perpendicular. But this is just, imagine this isn't there. This perpendicular line is perpendicular with the floor. But this and this, all these lines right here, are z-axes. And what they're inviting you to do is imagine that they stretch all the way back there and all the way this way. And when we think like this, we think about an open space. We think about how this is a flat floor. And when we design characters on this axis, on this crosshair, this spine, this kebab stick, really, we make these kinds of choices where the further leg is further away. We create the feeling of volume. So this leg here is closer to the camera and is on a z-axis, which is one of these, and is further in the distance and up along the distance. This is amazing. I really like seeing this in work. Some students pick this up and they don't know they pick it up, but I really want you guys to consciously add this to your depth vocabulary. Excuse me, I ran real quick before this class and I shouldn't have worked out. But now I'm all asthmatic. I'm so sorry. But but really just try to imagine this as an open space, and when you do that and when you start thinking like this, your characters have more volume. So suddenly we realize it's not just about the z-axis on this kind of plane on the floor. Just about, it's not a matter of where you place the feet or the fact that the head is closer down, so the tail is further away and one is above the other. Because as you know, well, let me a second, make a quick note for myself in the future. But as you know, there's many ways to make an object look like it's in the distance, but one way is to raise the object along an angle on the horizon line. So we have this angle right here, and this object was raised along an angle, and this new horizon line that it's in is further up, which means it's further in the distance. It's closer to the main horizon line where the land stops and the sky begins. So this right here is one way to show, that's basically what it's called, just raising it up along the horizon line, or raising up an angle of distance, or distance displacement along an angle on the horizon. Because the horizon line isn't just one line in a canvas. Sorry about that. I'm very sorry about my coughing. Please excuse me. But it's many, many horizon lines. They're constant and they get closer and closer to us because there's an essential grid. This like distance perspective mesh. And if we think like this little teeny weeny little thing that you can use to start your sketches will make all of this happen. We'll introduce you to all of these principles and all of these units. So when you're drawing an open, organic, three-dimensional object, and everything is sourced from the cube, this essentially right here, if we complete this drawing, it's just a cube. And that's what I mean by cube. I'm always referring to this little tool right here that helps us develop volume. So one thing I'm going to look for in these sketches is where's the volume? Is there a volume? Do these objects look like they take up space? Alright, so I'm making a note on the side. Another thing that I look for, so there's good volume where the object is placed along a horizon line. And then it's where that horizon line, that kebab stick I just showed you, that little, this vertical line, how it carries up along the rest of the body. So have you used geometries to summarize major areas of the anatomy of the object? So right here, its thigh, or part of its leg, starts to look a little bit like a cube to me. So I decide if the light source is coming from this way, then there will be a cylindrical aspect to the leg and to the anatomy. But there's also a very geometric nature or a native shape, a native geometric shape to this object. And that all, again, sources from this little teeny weeny little thing. And I use this all the time when I'm designing creatures. I throw in crazy shapes and then I design around these shapes. These shapes have to have volume to them. I think about where I want some cubes, where I want some spheres, where I want some cylinders. And then I just make sure that all anatomy I draw follows these core shapes. So I've taken care of the volume in the object in the positive space, and I've taken care of the volume outside of the object in the negative space. The fact that this and this don't share a horizon line means this and this don't share a distance. This is closer to the camera, this is further away. So this is one amazing thing that I noticed this person has, and I really want to share with you exactly what they use to achieve this. One thing is that where they have this problem is this drool, if it was on the same level as the feet, it would be a lot higher. But if the feet were floating, then the drool would reach a lower point than the feet. Right? So if the feet are at this level, and typically this drool, the head is in between the legs, and the trajectory is straight down, it would be right in between the legs because the head is in between the legs. So typically it would stop right here. The drool would just be right over here. But because it's so low, it's making me think that he's floating. And this is the floor, and this would be that same ass line that I drew before. Alright? It's perfect. Isn't it beautiful? It shows you exactly where your object is in an open space. And as you know, we never treat these open canvases as closed little papers. They're open boxes. They're big ass boxes, and they're open, and it's the space, and your objects exist in them. And when we think about volume, we think about all these rules of depth. We start creating a more voluminous, more volume, more believable, more. See here, right here, this was a really good placement, but this foot was just a little bit high. But we start creating more believable objects. All right. So there are many ways to create depth, many ways. Another way to create depth is, let me lower this arm real quick on the floor just so it feels more grounded. Another way to create depth is not just to raise an object against a horizon line so it gets that angle and displacement, but also it fades. There's the atmospheric fade. So typically in some creature design concepts, if you've seen some of them, so you see how low that leg, or how high that leg was. It was like he was traveling along or trying to walk along a branch instead of just walking squared. Always make sure you have this square. When you're drawing four-legged characters, this square. So after you draw that quick X, remember guys, every challenge is like a note-taking contest. Whoever takes the best notes gets lots and lots of goodies from me. So I want these notes written down and posted on the community. If you don't know where the community is, just go to istebrak.com. The class isn't done. And go to the Google Plus. Sorry about that. Go to the Google Plus sign-in sheet. I mean, not sign-in sheet. Community, join it, and then submit your, well, I haven't made it a section for notes. I should probably make a section for notes. But submit it into the discussion. Submit your notes. Either it's written by hand, you can scan it and submit it. I'll choose the winners by the end of the day or by the end of tomorrow, and I will message you, and to message me on Facebook, and I will give you some gifts for making such amazing notes. But I like nice prompt note-taking. I really would like to reward people, not for drawing the best drawing, but for taking the best notes. Alright, so make sure that after you have this little square, this little crosshair, the z-axis crosshair, alright, you think about the floor on which your character stands, and how each leg has its own space. So any four-legged creature, even a two-legged creature, has this as well. So if it's just a man standing, this crosshair still helps you find exactly where they're standing. So I use this a lot in character and creature design, and I think this is like pretty much the best way to fill an open canvas. A lot of you are daunted by an open canvas, just empty. And when you throw this little thingy in, suddenly you have the world accessible to you in a three-dimensional way, very similar to 3D modeling. and you feel like, yes, I can draw along a z-axis because I've designated where the z-axis is on all these points, on all these poles. All right? So I'm going to look for this little note here. Four-legged creatures, please make sure that you have this little square set up after you set up that crosshair. All right, so do your objects look like they're standing in space or standing on a flat floor? Some of them won't be standing on a flat floor. Some of them will be just along a wall or something like that. But I'm going to be looking for that. Okay? So beautiful volume, beautiful work all around. I really, really love this piece. I would just correct this bit because it's kind of throwing off my depth perception a little bit because I'm just I'm trying to figure out where the spit is and where the feet are. So I'm just going to raise that up just enough. Oops. I'll take a look at the comments in a second, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. There's also the fact that where we're standing, perspective-wise, so because I'm standing a little bit above this guy, the camera is above him, I'm seeing the top of his head, not the bottom of his jaw, I probably would see more of the cylinder of the spit. So that's another little thing I wanted to show you, real quick fundamental. When we see the side of the spit, usually the camera is right there. And so what the camera is seeing, so this is the puddle of spit, right? The camera is seeing pretty much a flat cylinder, so we draw a flat little disc. But if the camera is above looking down, we see more, so let's draw these perspective lines. We see more of the circle, but the circle is a little distorted, so it's not a perfect circle. It's just a distorted circle, something like that. So if the spit was, if we were looking up at the object, down at the object's looking up at us, we would see a little bit more of a spit shape. Alright? And this is the exact same principle that applies to why we're seeing the cylinders, why we're seeing this object in front of this object. Alright? So this is all the same perspective rules, it's all the same stuff. And the way to really take on this stuff without having the responsibility or creative pressure is to just try some form studies and basic sketches that instead of sketching full detail and sketching a fin and sketching some details, try to draw creatures just with geometric shapes. This will also help you tackle perspective without having to work too much with detail. Alright, so we're seeing the top of this. I'm going to see the top of this cube. So I'm seeing the top of this animal's head, which means that I'm going to see the circular shape of anything disc-like. I'm going to see more of the top of the feet than the side of the feet. So we draw more of the top of the foot of the paw of the animal. So we're seeing the top of this cube, the top of this cube, the top of this cube. So I'm going to be looking for those basic scientific, those are the basic scientific stuff that I'm going to be looking at. Technique and fundamentals. What I am going to be looking for creatively is function. So that's all anatomy. I think that's a little bit scientific as well. But creatively, how you've managed to combine different animals and make them look creepy. So basically, you were hired by a AAA gaming company that has a project in development that needs you to make as many weird zombie characters as possible. And how do you creep them out as much as possible? You want to freak the crap out of your employer, so that you earn your bread. You know? So what you really have to look for, or what you had to think about, is how do you get rid of the familiar? So what's creepy is what's not familiar. What's familiar is what's not creepy. That means that if we see two eyes, a nose, and a mouth, we feel safe. That's cool. We have two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Did I say two nose? Two nostrils and a mouth. And if we don't see that, if you've omitted some of these, so if you've gotten rid of some of this, let's say we have an eye, a nose, and a mouth. Very, very basic cat face. Alright, so this is a formula. Let's take out the eyes for a second. Let's completely get rid of the eyes. Alright, let me go up there, make a new layer. Alright, so we get rid of the eyes. What happens when we get rid of the eyes now is all we have is the nose and the mouth. So suddenly we're saying its senses are entirely for taste and smell. Let's decide which of these two is the largest. So we give this one the largest size. So let's say it has like a weird little bat nose. And a bat is pretty fucking creepy if you've ever looked at one. Their faces are just basically like I don't want to say it. But what we do is we decide which one is going to be the biggest. We shrink the area of the eye, completely get rid of it, and suddenly, what the hell is this? What am I looking at? I'm getting creeped out. So the more familiar your animal looks, the less creeped out I'm going to be. So over here, its eye size is massive, but its nose is really, really small and out of the way. So it's an object, probably a nocturnal animal. And you have this pretty much everywhere here, the large eye. Sometimes we don't have eyes at all, and we just have this mouth, and you have this iconic alien look. Because you completely got rid of the eyes and the nose, and all you have left is the mouth, and not just that, another mouth inside as well. And that's why it's so friggin' creepy, because it's not familiar anymore. So is your creepy creature familiar? If it is, it's not creepy. It needs to be unfamiliar. It needs to be outside of nature, outside of what we're used to seeing, outside of the cute usual animal look that we have. And then again with the creativity, that is somewhat creative. Kind of leaning on what's creative and how to be creative, really, what you take out, which you keep, the largest kind of stuff. But how do you combine different animal parts together? So sorry, I lost the corrections, but I'm sure you get the point. How do you combine different animals together, like a chimera kind of deal, and still maintain that creepy and still have that believable volume and seam all the animal parts together so they're believable? So if you're combining a snake tail and the body of a lion or something like that, then you are making sure that the seam feels believable. It feels like it's a singular creature, and all of that. So I'm going to be looking for all that stuff, and that's all basically the stuff you need to keep in mind in order to execute some really, really great creature designs. It's really basic, to be honest. It's not fully complicated. There isn't some crazy business behind it. You don't have to be a zoology major or something in order to pull off a really cute but believable, or creepy but believable creature. So when we're talking cute, we do the exact opposite. We make sure there's a familiarity to it, and then we take away some things, but we include something else. So for instance, the Stitch design. So Stitch is cute, but he's also really, really creepy, and for a very good reason. He has the cat face, but he has this big mouth, and the big mouth has interrupted this cat face. So this big mouth has kind of ruined a little bit this what we're used to seeing. The nose is fine, the eyes are fine. It's basically a koala, but we want to see a smaller mouth in order to complete the cuteness. But to maintain the creepiness, the character designs, the character design artist, whoever was behind this, really, really smartly just increased the size of the mouth way oversized. Almost half the size of the upper half of the head. And that's how they've managed to balance cute with creepy. But here we're going for full creepy, so we don't want the big eye, and we don't want the cute button nose. We want the exact opposite. So let's take a look at some of these. Some of these are friggin' hilarious. I was laughing my ass off and coughing and laughing my ass off before we started this, but I'm also going to be looking for the silhouette. So we talked about this last time in the character design challenge with the fellowship. If the silhouette reads, you write this down, if the silhouette reads, the character will read. It will read very, very beautifully. If you manage to make it have an appeal just on black on white, by the way, your background is too light, but if you manage to have an appeal just on black and white, you also have that extra design appeal when you have a really, really nicely read, not a lot of breathing room, negative and positive space, balanced, cool gesture lines moving across, very, very quick, minimal gesture lines, not excessive. You need only 2 or 3 really to pull off a great silhouette. Silhouettes usually have crosshairs in them, so perpendicular gesture lines. All right. So if a silhouette has perpendicular gesture lines, like we looked at last time, someone was holding a staff, and it made their silhouette look great because you had the breathing room in between both arms, and then you had the staff, and then you had some more breathing room as well. And that's what I'm going to be looking for as well. And in the previous ones, the exemplary creature designs I showed you just a second ago that I was drawing over, they had very, very minimal lines. So if you're using line efficiency, if you're thinking about line efficiency, you don't really depend too much on lines. A lot of the experimentation and the blueprint and the architecture happens with the geometries and the lower levels and the lower layers and the early stages of the painting. But just keep all that stuff in mind. So here you have a great silhouette. So the silhouette is great. The only problem is your line efficiency is really challenged. You have an excessive use of lines. So this right here, you're trying to display a texture. Just stop trying to display textures with lines. Do not try to display textures with lines. Going in there and painting every piece of grass, going in there and painting every piece of fur, every line of the bark is a bad idea because it completely closes breathing room. You always want detail relief, detail relief. That's the pattern you're looking for. So if the bark has some detail over here, you want to make sure that we have some relief following it directly, and then a little bit more, and then relief, and then a little bit more, and then you're trying to look for these really cool gesture lines in the bark that kind of are perpendicular to each other. So always try to find this perpendicular twig-like and then pattern, and then keep the breathing room in between. That's really what you do anywhere. Even on fur, so you want to make sure that you're drawing little fur shape, have a cluster of fur, and then a little bit away you have a little bit more fur. But this breathing room, believe it or not, adds more fur. If you draw too much fur, you're deliberately pointing at this specific quantity of fur, and then you're losing completely on the viewer doing the rest of the work. So let the viewer do some work. Give them a hint of what the texture is going to be, but don't try to draw the texture yourself. Big mistake. A lot of these look like they were your first go, so don't try to tackle detail like the horns or the eyes or the ears in your first go. You have to tackle the basic body. So draw these two spheres beside each other, a gesture line for the arms and a gesture line for the head, and then the spine. So count it. Spine, main torso, head, and then the legs, and gesture lines for the legs. So animals can also have this really specific leg thing that I showed you guys before, where we have a spring to show exactly where the leg is pointing to. So typically we point the knee out of the leg or that main joint. And then after that we have this really great blueprint for us to follow to pull off some great gesture lines for a leg movement. But that's it. That's all you really have. The spine, which is one of the main gesture lines you have to design with. Design the animal's silhouette with the spine, using the gesture line, using the spine as a gesture line. And then the head, the torso, the leg fat, or the major leg geometries. If it's a spherical, if it's a robot, you do the same thing. You use cubes and rectangles. And then make sure you have the gesture lines for all the major joints of the body. Alright, and this is, if you're not doing this, if you're trying to do this all in one go, you will be more susceptible to hairy lines. So planning your geometries will make you avoid hairy lines. So you as the artist, you specific artist behind this, I might be looking at double, the same work from the same artist, but because I'm not sure, no one's named this after themselves, everyone just has a file name. I might have chosen like a before or another attempt from the same artist, but that's okay. But yeah, you specifically plan your geometry just a little bit more. Your silhouette, this silhouette really reads very nicely, but this one and this one are very boring. Try to give us a little bit more curvature, maybe have this object while he's swimming, and suddenly we have these really cool movement, And not just that, think about perspective. So if he's moving towards us, and he's kind of in the deep, in the blue, and then he's looking up at us, and he's ready to eat us or something like that, that's more scary, because we feel like we're being hunted. And then you have this really cool gesture line, and this creature is almost done. Because we're using everything at our disposal. Perspective, we're seeing the top of the cube, and then the gesture line. So you could rework all of these using today's notes. And I would love to see some of you rework all of this. All of you, I would love to see you rework your designs, because some of them are really great design-wise and creativity-wise. The animals you managed to combine together. But you have no technical execution or science behind, or keeping your work tied together. These silhouettes are wonderful. This one is a little bit too symmetrical. It's kind of perfect to the side. It feels like a fossil. It's not very good for creature design unless you're doing a turnaround. If this is part of 4 frames of a turnaround, so front view, 3/4 view, back view, and then side view. This one right here, 3/4 view. 3/4 view typically is your best angle for a creature design. You want to stick to that for a very specific reason. You get to see the top, 3/4 view with the camera looking down. You get to see the side and you get to see the front. The back, if it's necessary, you also throw in a back design, but it's not always necessary. You can just have a quick note or two what the back looks like. But 3/4 view for creature design, I think, is the best one. Oh, I think you do have one that's 3/4 view. That is the same creature, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, awesome. This one would be more pleasing. And then this is the side of the looks just a little bit like it's still in side view. And the way to make it look like it's in front view is to have some kind of coil. Make it a little bit closer and have some coil indicate to us that we're seeing the back of this. Right? So the coil works like a grain or a mesh, and it lets us see that this actually, because now you're losing on the creature design. If this exact creature has its tail always looking forward, like always in front of it, always curled like a shrimp, you need to make sure that you're showing that in your perspective. Really, really low line dependency, great line efficiency, great volume. Right here you have both legs on the same level, so I would love to have seen one leg in the distance as well, and then just have a little bit of atmospheric fade on it. Just that, so we can have that crosshair, or else it just looks very, very flat. We miss out a lot on the volume. But this one I think is your most successful one. But as for creepiness, and we were judging on creepiness, so we've judged on execution, but judging on creepiness, I guess it's creepy. But typically what I'm seeing is a basic hummingbird design or basic hummingbird image. So really a way to make this look like super creepy or really push on the creepiness is to, we've omitted the mouth and we've omitted the eyes. What if we just throw 2 nostrils or something like that? 2 little nostrils. You know how birds have those humongous nostrils? And then it has probably like a bat nostril or something. That would be creepy, just having like a big old nose. That would scare the crap out of me. And have a little eye right here. Now it just looks like a dolphin. Now like, or have the eyes over here. You know, wherever, or omit the eyes completely, because we don't want to have all 3 parts of a familiar face in there. The more unfamiliar it is, the more creepy it will be. But you typically have a very cute hummingbird thing going on here. What you want to do is creep us out. If this thing landed on us, we want to be scared to death. I mean, it's taking the bee shape, so it has that. I think the creepiest one, the freakiest one, like the more freaky one, this one is just basic animal study. It looks like animal studies, but this one here is probably the creepiest one. The big dead eyes with no information in them, the venom that is sitting out here, and these little quills ready to spike you, and it looks like a cute little chick. I think this one you pretty much captured the freakiness. There's no nose, but the mouth is ear to ear. So I think this one is the most freaky one that you've drawn. I imagine you possibly shrinking the head just a little bit. If you shrunk the head, it would look a little bit more scary. Right now it just looks cute from the silhouette. So if you wanted it to look creepy silhouette wise, you just have to shrink the head, or else it just looks like a cute little chick, right? But if you have this in the silhouette, so you've got this creepiness, and then you've got all these little, so it just looks like a snowman with hair. This creeps me the fuck out. This would creep me out. And then he has these massive feet. And then this would be more freaky. And then in an illustration, I probably would have it kind of creeping up on you. And there's like one tree number 2, light behind it, and then he's got his little membrane, and the subsurface scattering is just starting there and showing right through, and you can see some of that redness shining through. And he's just a little bit lower than his, probably some of his eyes are capturing some of that light. This one would experience some rim lighting, because it's fully open, fully transparent. It's probably a blind animal. And then you've just got its open mouth, probably drooling some radioactive waste. Right? So you always want to think about the end goal. The end goal is an illustration. And if the silhouette is reading as cute, it will look cute in the illustration. You can't say that once I really render this out and bring in some trees and leaves and light, it'll actually look good. If it's not reading on the creature design template, if it's not reading on the blueprint, it's not going to read anywhere else. So if you want your creature to look creepy, test it out. Paint over your creature just like this and figure out, is this look creepy? Is this creeping me out? If it's not, if it looks like a cute little chick, then it won't. So imagine this. Imagine this big ass head and its creepy little teeth. This creeps me out. This silhouette creeps me out. This silhouette creeps me out. So try to channel some of that disproportionate, unfamiliar, creepy kind of moving away from cute completely, like a design, like a atmosphere or the mood, and then and throw it onto him. But I really see this in this illustration very successful. All right, I'll look at the fully rendered ones in a second, but let's just take a look more at how some of these are painted. So again, trying texture in your line stage. If this was pitched and you went home and you were hired to do 4 designs, and then you probably spent like what, an hour and a half on this one, about like half an hour on this one, maybe 45 minutes on this one, and like an hour on this one. Why would this one is probably not going to get used because it just looks like an alien snake. All right, so it's nothing really new happening here. But this one is the one that you spent most time on. So before you decide, okay, I'm going to spend an hour and a half drawing every single little one of these little dots and every single rib, let me just try silhouettes. Let me experiment with more believable silhouettes, because without this and without borrowing from that alien, it just looks like a worm. So ask yourself, does this silhouette read as creepy? So which of these is the most creepy silhouette? That's your first toll booth. That's the one you first have to go through. If you pass that toll booth and you make sure that, yes, I have a creepy illustration, then go on to detailing. Go on to specifics. Go on to referencing. Find a specific kind of ear you want to use from it to this animal and remove the eyes of this animal, leaving only the mouth of a frog with the ears of a I don't know, a cat or something creepy like that. All right? But if it's not reading on the silhouette stage, so this is reading as a chinchilla on the silhouette stage, but this tail here, it's going somewhere. This weird little tail is going somewhere, but without this, and this is going to look like you're drawing a Tyrannosaurus Rex or a raptor or something like that. But how do you make this creature be even more scary? So what do you do to make this creature scare the crap out of your viewer just through the silhouette? And that's where the creativity comes in. That's why I'm saying it's a combination of both. So I can't at the top of my head right now think of anything super creepy to add, but something a little bit more like it has no arms, so it has a super strength on its legs, so it's got these massive legs. So you are pulling from the Tyrannosaurus or the raptor body, or like an ostrich body, so lots of musculature on the legs because it supports an armless upper body torso. And then we've got this kind of nice gesture in the spine for the torso, and then something creepy in the mouth. So probably, I don't know, like it could be anything. I'm trying to just think of the most creepy shit right now. Probably like something like that. Something super, I just grew a penis, I'm so sorry. Something like that, and it probably has a little stinger. Something like that. No, it looks like a parrot. And probably no eyes, some massive beak. And just some super creepy second mouth over here. Probably some sort of second mouth. And if this is starting to creep, I mean, it's making me uncomfortable. I'm looking at him, I'm getting uncomfortable. Probably some horns. I mean, it's a creepy creature challenge, so creep the crap out of your viewer. Alright, for the sake of Halloween. It doesn't have to be Halloween for you to draw a creepy creature, if you know what I'm saying. Alright. But you really want your silhouette to read, so this is where you want to experiment. This is why I asked you guys, try some silhouettes. I kept hammering on the fact that you need to try some. Get some people to critique your work for you. Because that's the only way you're really going to get your viewers involved in this. Your viewers need to be creeped out. How are you supposed to know if anybody's creeped out? You're not the only, you shouldn't be the only gauge for the creeped out, for you know, if it's creepy or not. You should have other people come in and help you decide. But if this creature just started running at me out of nowhere, it's probably got these little, probably is like a abomination, got these little centipede legs. Damn, I would be scared. I would have the poop scared right out of me. Alright? So please try to get your silhouettes to read just a little bit more. So you had an opportunity to freak me out with the 4 legs. You didn't use it. It just looks like a cute little dog. The creepiness pretty much starts over here, and again, we're using the same alien kind of thing. So try to creep me out over here. So if this was a snake body, and it just like it crawled and it ran at the same time. That in itself, just seeing that scares the crap out of its victim, and he probably just turns around just to marvel at that freakiness, and then probably get caught just because they slowed down to look at how they managed to how this animal manages to catch up with you so fast. And not just cute little paws, probably give it something else. Probably no feet at all, nothing cute. If paws are cute, a simple matter is just completely remove them. Remove them completely. And then remove this whole alien business and then just stop it there. And again, we're always working out of the creepy, out of the unusual. If you saw it creeping in a shadow, you wouldn't be able to detect exactly what it was. And that's why, if you know, believe it or not, it's not that creepy. The design from Stranger Things, Monster, Stranger Things. It's not that creepy. But just the way they introduced it, every time we saw it in the movie, in the show, every single time, it was hard to tell what it was. Because we had all this familiarness to the body, this uncanny familiarity. We saw a body with that first picture that he took of it. It was a body. You know, it was a male. You can see the musculature. You can see the pectorals. You can see the abs. You can see everything. But then suddenly we're looking for a head, and all we see is this like vagina, the vagina from like alien vagina, and we're just wondering what the fuck. Get the fuck away from you! You're just running. You're running for your life, right? So anything familiar just happens over here, but it's not like, you know, this is something familiar. I don't feel comfort looking at this. And then looking up at the body so I'm not scared, and I find this thing that's ready to devour me. That's scary. It's a face hugger. And it like plants its garbage in the person's body and kills them. I still don't know why they just completely didn't tie up Barb's story, but we'll see what season 2 brings. But that's why this scary. It was scary watching it come out and scare the lady. And then I'm sorry if I'm spoiling it for you guys. You guys should have caught it by now. But seeing it come through the wall, trying to figure out exactly what it was. Okay, so it's just like a weird creature, right? It's just like an alien. But completely removed anything familiar in the head, and the bust, it's just completely gone. So if you do that, you will creep your people out. You will creep them out, and that's exactly what we want. All right. So this creature here, you're kind of using a little bit of everything. So you've gotten rid of the feet, which is great. Great choice. But he kind of looks like he's floating. And this one kind of looks like he's like skiing, and he's really scared because it was the first time he went skiing. And he's like, oh my God, help me. Sorry, I just kept seeing that. But I imagine if you have to ask yourself, how does this creature kill its victim? So the reason why that Stranger Things concept art that we just saw was so successful is because it looks like it literally just picks you up with its humongous pectoral arms and biceps, because clearly it lifts, and it just swallows you whole. It kind of just devours you and then spits you back out to process you and swallows you again. I don't know, it just does something. It looks like a big wood chipper. So when you think about how does it kill its victims, how does it eat, how does it hunt, then you can solve the problem, the equation with the bust. Exactly what we're doing here. So if it's the typical old teeth thing, whatever, he's going to chew me to death. So what? I'm bored. Show me something new. How about he sucks you to death? You know? How about he's got like this weird suction, like these gums. So he's kind of, you're coming out of that whole phobia of like toothless old people just sucking on you, which scares the shit out of me. So it's got like these massive gums, and it just sucks your blood right out. It's got these humongous Pokemon lips. And then you completely get rid of the white of the eyes. And just replace them with dots. Or like just these really spaced out cow eyes. At that point, you're kind of thinking a little bit more. So probably suctions itself to its victim and just sucks them out. Probably has like this massive tongue that also has a little bit of suction to it. And at this point, you're starting to pull. Okay, now that's starting to make sense. So if I wanted this creature to slowly sneak up on my protagonist, and then grab a hold of its leg, what kind of bruise would we see? We'll probably see a big, humongous bruise. It probably looks disgusting. The blood is gone. It's atrophying. The skin is dying. Some shit like that. All right, but this here, all of this looks really, really cute. It just looks like a cute little Pokemon. So how do we interrupt this? Probably want to get rid of some of this, or keep that. Get rid of the legs. Get rid of anything familiar. How does it stay latched on? The suction, I'm sure, is not the only thing that keeps it connected. probably secrete some kind of venom, so it might need a little bit of a pouch over here for its venom. And then now we're starting to think like a frog, so I might give it like a nasty little stub of a tail. Right? These kind of tails always freak the shit out of me. And then just like a frog, so it jumps on you and then suctions you, and then it's got these tiny little hands. So this would be a more freaky silhouette. Now I could just think, oh, that's so cute, because every time I saw him, I just thought, oh, that's the cutest little frog baby Pokemon. All right, and how about how it finds its view, how it finds its victims? So maybe it's got like a super sense of smell. So it's got this really nasty looking nose, and it's got these eyes that are spaced out all the way down here. And it doesn't really need its eyes. Now you have a creature design, a full-on creature design, and all you have to do now is just pass it through the is it going to succeed as an illustration. So probably think of it with its nasty stubby tail. Just moving in this way, probably sneaking on its victims. It's probably like has its little suction mouth, moving this way. Its little legs ready to pounce. It's kind of like moving its butt, and then the victims over here hiking. And they don't know that this thing is going to come suck the blood right out of them and leave them as like shriveled membranes and grapes. Leave them as shriveled grapes. All right. So that's really what we're thinking about here. It's really where we're going. Those 3 stages: technical, basic design, deciding if you know how the object's going to look, deciding on the space and the silhouette. As you decide the space and the silhouette, you throw your object on this crosshair that approaches all poles of the z-axis, keeping the room open, keeping you thinking in 3 dimensions, and architectural, kind of wrapping your mind around the architecture, the building of the object, the geometry of the object. And then just start experimenting. Basically try to find a place that you're pulling from. So you're pulling from basic frog anatomy. How does the creature kill its victims? Stuff like that. And then after that, you can start working up. Something will start to, come together in the silhouette. And then ask, is it partly a flower? Is it partly a plant? Is it half animal, half plant? Is it half animal, half human? I said no humanoid, but it could have been like a complete bastardization of what the human silhouette looks like, which would be even more creepy, just like the Stranger Things creature. It had a little bit of familiarity to it, which made it all that more creepy. Seeing it walk towards you in the darkness, that's what made it really creepy, and kind of succeeded in that department. And then a silhouette will start to form. Once your silhouette forms along a z-axis, try to keep people freaked out. Once you figure that out, gray out the silhouette and just start rendering, either with lines or with fully illustrating it with form and rendering and all that business. Okay, so we're looking for the same stuff here. This little we all know what we're looking at here. This little creature probably is one of the creepiest designs, this challenge. This one right here. Silhouette wise, I wouldn't know what the hell I'm looking at, but I know I'd have to run away. It looks like it's a face hugger. It looks like it can eat you whole. It looks like it won't shit you for 3 months. But you probably won't die for 2 of those months. You'll be dying for those 2 months. It looks like it can walk fast. It's got this very, very scary. One of the reasons why spiders scare the crap out of me is how fast they are. They're very, very fast, especially the big ones, because they have all that leg strength and all that versatility. So when I'm looking at an object, a character, a creature that has these 4 legs, you have this beautiful crosshair right there, very, very easy to find. It looks like it's going to just run at me. So this one here is probably the most creepy one. This one, I've seen this, just a scorpion and then a bug transformer. But this one here, you really hit the nail on the head. This right here is exactly what I'm looking at. If I saw this in Stranger Things Part 2, I'd understand why they use this specific design. All right. So this is one of my favorite ones. I probably wouldn't render this one because I probably feel inclined to use some kind of flesh design on the sides of that, and at that point I think I'll have like 200 viewers watching the stream. This breath of fresh air. Let's take a look at it. Where is it? Okay. So, all right. So this creature's name is Susie, and not just Susie, Susie, with the money. Look at that money. And the face looks like this. It's like this really, really creepy creature. You've gotten rid of the nose, you kept the eyes, and you've given it that Jack Skellington mouth, which gave it that creepiness. This is creepy when we look at this. This freaks the shit out of me. Because the mouth is just so out of place. But behind, look at how she catches her victims. She sticks her butt out, so tempts lonely mans by sweet ass and then eat them. Okay, this is perfect. So this is the sweet ass, as you can see, and she's tempting the lonely man's. He's coming up, and he's like, "Oh my God, look at that ass!" And he comes up, and then I think this is part. This is another creature, and she just turns around and eats them. I guess when they start feeling up her butt, she'll just turn around with her creepy little feet. So habitat cities, shelter, dark streets, food humans. This may be a joke, right? But give me a second. I know this is funny. I know you guys are already giving this a rating, but I swear to God, I've never seen this in any kind of movie or show. And if I see this in a game, and or if I see this in a movie, like in the beginning of a movie, and it's just like a really funny creature, like these creature hunters or demon hunters, and this demon just has this specific way of catching men. And one of them is by sticking its ass out. I'm sure they'd mature it a little bit and it'd have legs and it'd have a couple of arms here and there. But it turns out when it turns around and we see this creature, I would watch that show to see what other creatures they've managed to put together. Because seriously, this is one of the most intriguing, even though I said no humanoids, please, because I wanted you to focus on animal anatomy. If I saw this in a movie, I'd be like, wow, that was so unique. I know it feels like it's not unique because it's, luring men in, same old vampire luring men in. But if you really go crazy with this right here, even make it a male, even go to that level and freak it out, give it a male bust. So imagine if it was like a male, right? So it's got the little head and it's got like a male body, right? Wouldn't that scare the shit out of you? What's a male thing doing having a female? Like, that's just freaky. That freaks me out. It feels like it was specifically tailored for men. This is like the men, the predator for men. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good idea, honestly. This idea comes from SpongeBob SquarePants movie, or is very similar to SpongeBob. SpongeBob movie, ice cream, old lady. I'm trying to find where that scene is. This scared the bejesus out of me because it's kind of working exactly the same as this design. When I saw this in SpongeBob, I was like, how are they letting kids see this? Because this whole time they've been talking with an inanimate tongue, and look at the veins on the cat. Jesus, like that is one of the scariest scenes. That really felt like you were in danger at that moment. I know it's just SpongeBob, but it's creature design as well, at least for this moment. And I know it's a very basic silhouette. It's a scary silhouette, but the theme behind it, the point behind it, it's really, really close to this, luring them in, just like that one sea creature that has its little bulb, has animals running towards it because of the light, and it just eats them up as soon as they get close enough. So this is a really, really kind of just very similar to that, and I just want to tell you, this scared the crap out of me. Also, what the fuck, man? This is a children's show. How is this happening? Anyway. Alright, so silhouette wise, I would see a unicorn. I wouldn't really be creeped out by this. The skull is kind of a nice addition because it's no longer a beautiful, fancy little unicorn. But silhouette wise, I think you're still working with a unicorn. You have to find a way to make this creepy on the silhouettes level. So what you can do, one way you really can creep out people is with really haunched shoulders. So if it had this whole thing going on, if it had these really creepy shoulders, and then it had this little amount of face right here, and then it had the unicorn, right? And this wouldn't just be its mane; it would actually be it's like a hyena body, really, really large upper body. Or you can make the head very, very large and a tiny little unicorn. But you have to make sure that it's creepy on the silhouette stage. Again, very, very basic snake shape. How do you make the snake shape even more scary? So one of the ways nature did it is it added this interesting little design at the end, which made them look even scarier, made them look fatter, like they would eat you up and fit you in. But really, it's just an illusion. The cobra, the cobra wings on either side, those things are really, really scary. So you could pull from that and then keep adding to it. Somehow interrupt the silhouette with some more. Maybe centipede legs. That's scary. So if I had centipede legs all around and a cobra head, at that moment the silhouette really starts to creep people out. And when you want to know what creeps people out, just what are the phobias? What are the basic phobias? You've got arachnophobia, you've got basic phobia of insects, you've got phobia of being constricted, you've got phobia of animals that bite, so bloodthirsty animals. You can combine all of that with an animal that has spider legs, sucks you up and keeps you in this little thing for days in this tight little thing that's see-through, so you can still see the outside world and you can't get out. You're completely immobilized and it's sucking your life dry, and that's freaking the shit out of me just saying it. But if you can fit all that in a creature design, I think you'd have a really, really successful creature design. And not just that, if you take it to high production quality, it would be a legendary creature design, because it's not just about you dying instantly. It's about you dying eventually, just like Alien. What Alien does is it plants its little babies inside of you, and the babies claw themselves outside of your body while you watch yourself die. That's scary as all hell. That comes from a fear of being infected, that fear of infections, fear of having animals live inside you, fear of having worms in your belly. So it's really, really similar to that. You pull out of phobias to design a creature. You won't fail. You will always creep your viewers out. All right, so I gotta close this because I'm just gonna start laughing every time I see it. This one actually has a pretty scary silhouette. You're trying to do too much with the silhouette. With the space around the silhouette. So I really recommend you just completely gray out all this space. So all of this just needs to have one consistent color. And once you do that, alright, so once you just get all of that out of the way, then you can really think about whether or not this silhouette really is. It needs some editing. This sphere doesn't really scare me. A sphere isn't scary. A triangle is scary. A point is scary. So try to avoid using spheres in your designs. Anything that has too much bubbles. If it looks like it's pores, if it looks like it's some kind of infection or some kind of plague, at that point the bubbles aren't really funny to look at. They're very scary to look at. So if you want to pull from these like sacks of venom, you can just have like little sacks of venom everywhere, just hanging off, kind of dragging down with gravity or something like that, where it stores its venom or maybe stores its victims, and you can just see people kind of trying to get out. But this is more scary than looking at a big puff, because then it just looks like a princess wand, right? Or something else. And every single one of these, try to give them something intimidating, some intimidating quality in the silhouette, some, try to have more points. More vertices, more sharp points are more scary. Alright. So avoid the circular, avoid the happy looking. This whole area, you had a chance to show some pincers, but you filled it up, which is not a good idea. You want to show a little bit more breathing room. And this is what I mean by the silhouette, breathing room in the silhouette. You want to show just a little bit more of that. Probably more breathing room here, as it winds its way back into its position. This is how you can dress up a snake. Just interrupting and adding on to it, not making it as long, making it a short snake that can travel very fast. Does it jump? Does it fly? Does it crawl? Does it run? How many legs does it have if it runs? And then try to find different references and anatomy to fill in all those empty spaces. Alright. These ones here, they're not finished. I'm not sure if the artist behind these completed these, but these look great. Really, really small eyes. Unusual anatomy. The silhouettes are very freaky. So you see this little snake addition? He added hands or claws. and a very big head. And you see that haunched hyena thing I was talking about earlier? It really does scare you. It really is scary looking at that haunched, kind of really, really strong upper body. Kind of, if it got a hold of you, it could just wring you to death. And then this is just beautiful. This extra little mouth, lack of eyes, but very, very big mouth to make up for that almost not intimidating bust. And then you just show where it really does start the digestive process. But all of this is a great way to interrupt that worm look, just to add legs in unusual areas, probably underdeveloped or slowly evolving away or de-evolving or adapting to it, not using its legs anymore. This one here is very, very cool. It latches on and looks like a face hugger. Some really, really great ones in here. Okay, so this one really went with the Chimera. I think this is one of the most. This one here is probably one of the creepier designs we've seen. It's a basic sphere, but it's got all this little hair, and it probably has this one big mouth, this gaping mouth, no eyes and no nose. So it's like a squid kind of thing. The only thing is, if we create the silhouette, it's really not going to read as animal. It's going to read like a coral reef or something like that, which is probably how it camouflages. Not a coral reef, underwater plants, seaweed and kelp and all that. So what I would suggest to make this silhouette read just a little bit more like an animal is to have some kind of torso, some kind of insect-like torso to it. Something very scary where it just has a little bit more of probably like a pincer somewhere, something like that. And it's got its little afro. And it probably is all the way along its spine, so it just hides, turns around, and then latches onto its victim, and then swallows them. So you're working from worm straight into its camouflage. So nice, you took away the paws, which is really good. It's good. It's keeping the paws in there just makes it look too cute. And then you got rid of the eyes in the cat design, which makes it look cute. These two big eyes, it just looks very cute, like a Pokemon, but you got rid of it, and then you kept its creepy eye in there. So all the cute pieces you pretty much gotten rid of. What I recommend is getting rid of them here as well. This one, creepy creature, can also, you can work from gore, like a, mutilated corpse. It's always creepy looking at something dead. But don't depend on it too much to create your characters. So a dead body is only it only does so much. It looks like a zombie cat. I want a creature that lives and spawns and has children and is like dominating over this one specific habitat. And these researchers of the story narrative have to go find this creepy creature and kill it and figure out what it's doing, and maybe not kill it, and in the process unleash this great plague upon the earth or something like that. That's pretty much what Prometheus was. But typically all these creatures have an alien nature to them, have an unusual nature. So don't depend too much on the dead when designing your creatures. Depend a little bit more on functional anatomy. So this is an actual lizard that we know exists in this world. So you can have customized it just a little bit more to have a bit more fear quality to it. So this is a basic spider. And this is a snake with horns. I like this. We don't see this as much. We usually see the horns with some dragon tails or wyvern kind of business. I like that there's nothing else except the horns. One thing is that, for the horns, they're so heavy, so how would it carry its upper body? So it probably would have developed a very, very large upper body. So you can give it that kind of cobra look. I'm using no pen pressure. And kind of get rid of the nose, because it's kind of looking a little bit human, or get rid of the eyes. That's kind of getting really, really creepy. It looks like something out of God of War with those horns. So at this point, yeah, I'm pretty scared. I'm pretty scared at this point. Just by looking at the silhouette, I'm getting scared. Right, then over here you could have added something else for it to whip you by, some kind of weapon, or maybe it just has its rattle, but the rattle releases some kind of fume and it kills its victims or something like that. Kills its viewers. Alright, so some of these are fully rendered. I'm going to take a look at the rest in a second. So I'm going to look at the fully rendered one. So the silhouette is cute, unfortunately. You have a very, very cute silhouette. And it looks more like a realistic Pokemon than it does a creepy creature. So the reason why you kind of need to address all of this is because if you were going for creepy creature and you give them this isn't going to pass. So for the sake of the project and for the sake of your work ethic, probably go back and edit these and make these changes happen. So how do we make this creature look more menacing? I think that one thing that's making it look really cute is its dog-like position. So it has a very cute, like a position, like a dog waiting to be, like waiting for snacks. That's kind of what I see. So if you shrink the eyes just a little bit, enlarge the mouth, enlarge the head, make it too large for the rest of the body, or maybe even shrink the head just a little bit more, we would get some of that freakiness back. So let's try that real quick. And then raise the density. Whoa, not good size. Alright, so already starting to look a little bit more nasty. And then shrinking the size. Density goes up. Oops. I'll probably just move the eyes after. Okay, so we're getting rid of that cuteness. We're making it look like a scary animal. Even then, that position isn't doing much for me because why is this issue still there? Because on the silhouette stage, my mind's eye is seeing like a silhouette, and it is addressing it as a cute thing. I'm not intimidated because it's a silhouette of a cute little dog-like animal. But if you did something so that it doesn't look cute anymore, so make it more like, remember that whole hyena hunched shoulder thing? If we kind of did a little something like that, shrunk the head, and made it a little bit lower on the body, and it looks like it's ready to hunt instead of waiting for snacks. I probably shouldn't say the word snacks. My cat's gonna go wild. Alright, so it camouflages in the thing, in the darkness, or in the rocks, depending on, and it feels like it runs at you. It doesn't, you can't really, kind of hunts at night, and it uses its rocks to camouflage. Alright, so about the arms look really cute. So how can we make the arms look super freaky? Maybe by elongating them and giving them like this unusual length while they run, or something even to add to that haunched back thing, something longer like that. Kind of looks like a weight machine, something like this. That's starting to feel a little less cute, a lot less cute. Okay, so you have this cute little baby asking for snacks, and I've got this motherfucker who's ready to kill you. So always think about these you know, offensive positions that feel like this person is ready to, this animal is ready to attack you. So search up animal ready to attack. Search up snake attacking. Search up lizard attack. I know you might see some really creepy shit, but be careful. Just have safe search on. You know, if it was attacking, a tucked in tail shows fear. But when we have this, you know, this looks like it's ready to kill something. And then now the silhouette has even more motion and gesture to it. And it feels intimidating. It's probably got a big old club to kill you with. But even then, it's not working from creepy. So how do we make it creepy? How do we continue that creepy look? Maybe it has a permanent smile on it. And then maybe its eyes are a little bit low because it's nocturnal, so it doesn't want to go blind or something like that. Maybe it doesn't have eyes, it just has its sense of smell. So it has a super developed sense of smell. And It just doesn't have eyes, or it has very, very little tiny eyes on the side. And these would seem like the eyes. Right, so now it feels just a little bit more creepy. As for everything else, I'm not really sure how we continue. I can't really, for the sake of the class, continue trying to figure out other ways, but definitely how it looked before was just way too cute. That wasn't even the before. How it looked before. It's just really, really cute instead of creepy. You want to think intimidating. So the reason why that Stranger Things creature was so creepy, like I said, that thing looks like it goes to the gym 6 times a week. It looked like it could pick you up and just swallow you whole. Over here, again, that whole corpse. So you're pulling from the corpse. We see skeletons, or the skeletal structure of the legs. We see sewed up eyes, and then we see stitches. So it looks like more like a Frankenstein kind of creature. And if you are going for something like that, like if you are hired for that, then go for it. But it's kind of creepy that this predator is attached to its prey. That's kind of really perverted in its own way. And I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I've never seen this before. I think it's cool. Try to fit your creature, in its canvas. Don't let it be outside of its canvas. You need breathing room, so shrink your character, this creature, to fit into the canvas. But congrats to everyone who tried it. Now we have a look at this one. And this is probably like the heavyweight champion of creepy. If I saw this motherfucker on my wall, I would freak out so badly. Stick insects creep me out because of their length and the fact that I don't know when I'm actually holding a stick or when it's an animal, an actual breathing animal, just right there in my hand, and I don't know. That freaks me out. Just the camouflage, not knowing when a predator is nearby, that scares me. But just simply remember that whole elongated arm I just drew on that weird guy. The cute lizard. You have that here. You have that haunched kind of, upper body. It just feels really, really creepy. And then you've got this elongated neck. You feel like you're out of its reach, but you are in its reach. And it's got this 4 legs that must be very fast. No mouth, distorted eyes, and a superior sense of smell. And it looks like it's been made from some kind of human. It has a mane. So it has that very, very scary nature to it. And the legs themselves, the feet, are completely out of this world. They're so new. They're so unusual. They look like they're there to latch on to, like a lizard, to latch on to sticks and climb. So it looks like that camel spider, if you've ever seen that thing. It's just horrifying. So this really, really is successful. The only problem is the way you executed this whole area is just a little excessive in detail. I love the breathing room, but as soon as we get here, it seems like you're depending on the shades and the detail to make it work. So you shouldn't have tried to detail in every single vein of the eye. So you should have let that go. It's definitely the creepiest thing I've ever seen. Don't try to shade the dark circles. Just let us see that you've placed in these lines. Don't try to shade those. And if it has a superior sight and a superior sense of smell, you got to choose one to be the largest. So right now it's starting to just feel a little cheesy, really. So what I would do is I would just choose one to be the larger one. Remember, we can't have them the same size, and these are pretty much taking the same amount of space. So what I would do is shrink the eyes just a little bit. Just like that, and have them completely spaced out. Probably like cow eyes. And not excessively detail the veins. At that point, I'm scared to death. Because then I can really develop the nose. Or do something with it here and there. And the eyes seem to not be as strong as the sense of smell, so it kind of has to sniff you. But before, you were kind of exaggerating those 2 big eyeballs. It looked a little cartoony. And then now when we get them out of the way, and the way we've added these along the actual curve of the sphere. So that means a lot, that we've followed the mesh of the sphere, right? This is very, very important, following the mesh. Whenever you throw an eyeball on anything circular, make sure that it sits there It doesn't just sit flat like that. It sits along the grain of the mesh of the contour line on the object. So that's exactly what we did here. Right, but this is very freaky. Scares the living daylights out of me. Alright. And then we have this. So very cute silhouette, remember that. So now that we've covered all of these, you kind of can point them out yourselves, can't you? This right here, I love the beard because it's freaking oh my god, it's so freaky. It looks like a man. And it's big, developed human-like eyes that are kind of like bifocal, or whatever they're called when they look forward. Yeah, that's just really, really creepy. The silhouette is really, really great. The hair is really what's freaking me out. This little beak also freaks me out. Probably an animal with a really, really bad temper. And it looks like it runs fast. So this is very, very creepy. This one here also looks just a little bit cute because the mouth, I can see the mouth is right there. It looks kind of cute. So you want to get rid of the mouth, make it not visible. When we don't see where the mouth is, it becomes very, very scary. We don't know where the attack point is going to come from. Alright, and then multiple eyes, just make sure these eyes are, they actually look like they're sitting on the object. So they have they go outside of the silhouette. And you just keep developing the eyes if you want to. And then under all this hair is where that mouth is, where the devouring point is. The ears look a little bit cute. You might want to shrink them down. So if it has superior ears or sense of sound, or you can hear that slight little pin drop from miles away, and it can also see, kind of feels overpowered, and it can run really fast. So probably want to keep the ears low or just completely out of the silhouette, because now you have that haunch. If you add the ears, then you interrupt the haunch. You can add the ears if you want, if the design calls for it. Okay, but I like the haunch. It feels more like worm-like, more disgusting. One really creepy creature that I remember seeing is from that one Will Ferrell movie. That big mosquito that once it turns around, it just has all this blood attached to it. Or once he turned around, that scared the life out of me too. This one is fully illustrated, so as a creature design, it's not really successful because I don't know where the creature starts or ends. It seems to be camouflaged in the house. But it looks like a very big beetle, multi-eyed, multiple mouths. Looks like a big, kind of like a, what is that? The Kraken? Just looks like a completely overpowered creature. So what we have to do is decide what we're keeping and what we're not. When we don't have eyes and we have these big nose, and we have superior strength and it has size, you have to choose something that's going to stay weak so that it doesn't look familiar. Sometimes throwing a face of a human being on an animal is really, really, really scary. And it completely throws me off, like an avatar, that one creature that he meets in the spirit world that steals people's faces. Now that's scary. Alright, so I'm going to try to capture this silhouette over here. I'm almost done. And, oops, deselect. Alright, so I'm just going to delete that. And I'm just selecting this just for the silhouette. Okay, and deselect that. So one issue is the fact that the distant leg is the darker one. Typically the distant leg is the one that we keep as the lighter one because we consider or using atmospheric fade as a cheat. So what we do is we choose the background color and then we just paint over so that leg feels like it's in the distance. Alright, so I'm just going to try to... Typically it's not the further leg that is the darkest one. But because you started off so light, it's very difficult to lighten that distant leg without it being too light. You already started so light everywhere else, that leg seemed like it was a different color. It also doesn't feel like this leg, it feels like this leg is maimed or hurt somehow. Alright. And the rest of the body just feels like it needs to be just a little darker. So just a little darker here. But if it is a light creature, that's also good. But don't make it too washed out. It will read as a lighter creature. And typically when we have a super light background like that, what we want to do, let's find one of the darker shades, is slowly recede the back, anything that is in the distance, into a shadow, and then bring in the secondary light source if need be. But you want to recede some of this into the shadow so the object feels like it's emerging from a state of darkness into the light, instead of it starting straight light, because then it's going to look very, very flat. And you have the option to throw in some excess illumination for subsurface scattering to show how translucent some areas are in comparison to others. So you can assume there's light behind this creature. So you've taken the cat silhouette, which is very cute, so automatically I'm not really that scared. It just looks like those hairless cats. So you have to find a way to make the silhouette look a little bit more freaky. So some creature designs were really scary from that one game. Dante's Inferno. Those were really, really scary, especially because they came from a specific narrative and they're very freaky. So you have some like weird succubi and they have their own way of being freaky, and then you got those babies. So always find something familiar and then destroy it. Completely remove it from anything familiar. Separate it from anything familiar. I just feel like you needed a little bit more form, so I brought the highlights down just a little bit so that we can reuse them again where they're needed. Okay, so after, and then I'll do a complete before. So that distant leg, yeah, it's just a little too light. Oops. So it was just washed out because your background was too light. Oh shit. Alright, I lost all. Why? ¿Por qué? It was this motherfucker right here that I copied. But yeah, you can just scroll back in the thing and just take a look at the before. Damn it. But the silhouette doesn't really read as anything freaky. It reads as a pure cat, no matter how much you render it. So this could be like the creature that belongs to a scientist that probably experimented on it just a little bit. But even then, it just doesn't, it's not reading as creepy. It's not reading from the fear factor. It's not pulling from anything that is unfamiliar, or is not perverting something that we already have familiar. So the eyes are gone, yeah, but the silhouette is still there. The silhouette is kind of cute. Kind of looks like a really silly little wonky cat that can't balance. So we looked at a lot of stuff today, but can anyone summarize real quick in a couple bullet notes what were the most important things to remember in creepy creature design? All right. Yeah, it's not supposed to be a realistic illustration completely. It's supposed to be like a design sheet. You're right, Antares. You're supposed to look for different combinations anatomically and creepy units, and then thinking about form and making sure you have all your fundamentals in place. So it's a lot of stuff to mediate and take care of. I did invite you to fully render it, but I made sure that you guys at least experimented with three other options. So yes, Uncanny Valley, yes, absolutely. Did you ever see the cuteness diagram? Anything that is humanoid with animal aspects we see as cute, but when something is close to being human, but not quite, we think it's creepy. There's a couple of those, the Japanese robots. That's not really it being close to human and pulling from the cuteness. That's not where the theory originates. That's not the thesis. The thesis is that they're using human anatomy with that has that little touch of unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar. It's not fully familiar, like the Jeff Bridges 3D model in Tron. We know it's Jeff Bridges when he was younger, but we also know it's not really Jeff Bridges, and it has this fake forced 3D texture that's supposed to make him look look realistic and beautiful. and it's just not working. We're more freaked out by it and kind of like, what the fuck is that? Instead of actually seeing it for a human being. So that's what those Japanese robots are. That's what Uncanny Valley is. You can use the Uncanny Valley for creepy creatures, but Uncanny Valley almost always relates directly to humanoids. And we're not really talking about humanoids at this point. We're talking about creatures. So creepy creatures is in their, their threatening stances, their way of killing, their speed, their sense of smell and sense of sight and sense of hearing, um, their camouflage, their silhouette, how kind of a predator are they, and all of that stuff combines together to create really, really successful creatures. So Stranger Things design got away with it. They had a humanoid. Well, the only creature they had to bring in was in the head. I mean, at that point, as a designer, I looked at it and I said, you guys can do a little bit better than that. You could have given it a tail, or you could have given it something more scary, but at the end, it was just a scary guy in a mask. It looked like one of the bad guys from Scooby-Doo. Maybe they were going for that whole retro thing. But they got away with a lot of stuff by adding a human body. But it's more difficult when you don't have that. When you don't have humanoids, which I didn't allow you guys to have humanoids. You don't have that anymore. Sorry, I'm completely losing my voice. Alright, so, oh damn. Lots and lots of notes. Spoopy booty the best. Body language can add a lot to the design. Excellent. Spherical is cute. Spiky is not. Excellent. Do some parts that are creepy and more important. Do just some parts creepy and more important. Silhouette is the most important step for any design. Excellent. Hunched back. Perversion of the familiar. Excellent, Nick Bobo. Start with the axis and horizon line. Excellent. This was a lot of fun and very helpful. Thank you, Sheena. Shauna. Sheena is to have an unrelated question. You can ask me, Sophia. To make something creepy, put in the unfamiliar. Thank you, Daisy. That's good. Keep gesture lines minimal, but also intriguing, and try to think about those perpendicular gesture lines. They make for great silhouettes. Interrupt the snake body form. Don't rely too much on death and gore to make things creepy. Good. The silhouette is important to make things creepy. Give your silhouettes breathing room. Excellent. Avoid cute features. Watch your silhouette. Avoid curves. Triangular shapes are better. Keep breathing spaces in your silhouettes. And then Sophia asks, a YouTuber I know says that you should master drawing objects before drawing faces. Do you agree? No, I don't agree. The face is an object. This YouTuber is giving you advice because they assume that you're going to be taking the face on without assuming its geometry. But if you learn its geometry at the same time you're learning other geometries and doing form studies, you're going to be replacing and all the symbols that you use to make a face. So the symbolic eye, the symbolic nose, symbolic mouth, that doesn't really let you draw in perspective. You're going to be replacing that with geometry, so the face stops looking like a symbol or something basic to you, something flat and two-dimensional, and starts to behave as a building. So yeah, do like form studies, but think about this. Let's open Portrait Studio for a second. You don't have to assume the face always has to have this level of render quality. Sometimes treat it like this. What's wrong with drawing a face in this kind of setup? There's nothing wrong with this. You're treating the face as a building. You're thinking about the basic shapes. You're seeing spheres, cubes, cylinders everywhere. So, there's nothing wrong with trying to draw faces as form studies. In fact, you're supposed to learn the planes of the face as soon as possible. Don't delay treating the face as a building. That's the biggest mistake. Yes, anyone can post for these challenges. Alright. Imagine that you're the creature and how it lives, eats, etc. Excellent. So function. Imagine function. Is watching Istebrak every stream a good tip? What do you mean? You don't have to catch every stream. I upload the recordings. This is a bit off topic, but did the Portrait Studio update come out yet? No, it didn't. We're just finalizing some basic model changes. Tonight I'm going to be fixing a couple problems. We're dealing with light issues. Unity is currently in development. It's not a complete engine, so it has some issues that it comes short on. And we've been waiting for them to update their kind of lighting method, but we won't be waiting for them like indefinitely. It will be a while for them to update their lighting method, but we're just finalizing some basic UI stuff. It is finished for the most part. It's ready for an update, but I want it to be perfect. And I'm just being a perfectionist. So as I said, late October, possibility in early November. So we're looking at the next week and a half for the update to be released. It does get delayed. Development with only like a small team, it does get delayed, and you've only got one person in there with the vision of what it's supposed to be. So a lot of the stuff has to run by me, and most of the time I'm not satisfied, unfortunately. And I want it to be a perfect tool. I think it is the tool that keeps this community running, and it is really good for my private tutoring and for students, just for their creative purposes and their creative pursuits. But I want it to be perfect. This update is supposed to be a complete upgrade. I don't want any issues where we're upgrading on the model, we're adding more movement, but then we have issues where it falls off in another area. So I don't want it to fall off in another area. I do have some demos that I'm going to be, hopefully I can make a video for you guys, but the reason why I don't want to announce another release date like I did in the summer is because we're constantly going to have setbacks, and I want to make sure that when I promise it, it's going to be out, and I don't want to lie to you guys and say that it's going to, but I did promise it's going to be out in the fall, and it definitely will, hopefully way before the winter. But fingers crossed that nothing big comes up or some crazy glitch or something breaks. So our project was done, and then we had to restart it because Unity crashed on us, which was really, really weird that the project corrupted like that. How much will it be after the update? Definitely at least $20 more, probably between $15 and $20 more. Good night, Andrej. Thank you for coming, or Andre. Thank you for coming. I'm so sorry some of you have to stay up very, very late for this stream. So upload your design, your notes on creature design. If you upload your creature design notes, please make sure you upload them on the Google Plus. Sorry, I don't know why this is here. On the Google Plus community. You need to go away. You need to just stop it. All right. Sorry, that's my checkout for private tutoring. Okay, so go to the Google Plus, join the community, upload them as a text file. Please upload all your notes, and I'll choose one winner from the notes. You guys have been amazing. You guys try these challenges with feet first. Some of you have a lot of courage, and I'm really proud of a lot of you. Facebook is where you go to get your paint overs back, but I didn't really paint over today. Twitter is where I announce class cancellations and all that business. And YouTube is where I upload these streams. I do have an Instagram, but it's just for personal work or whatnot if you want to follow me there. So Istebrak.com to get a hold of all these links. And that's it. Thank you everyone for watching today. You guys have been amazing. I can't wait to see your notes. And if you are chosen as a winner for note taking, I message you on Facebook after you message me on Facebook, because I can't find all of you on Facebook. And then I'll send you the rewards through there. But thank you everyone for coming today. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.